Happy Friday. Happy Friday. It is Free Flow Friday. Thanks for that title, man. Appreciate it. All right, Free Flow Friday. And this is episode 10 of season 3 of the Be Your Own Hero show. Hero is an acronym. It means a lot of things, but in the context of this show, it means helping everyone reaps optimism. In other words, helping others helps you. It's a reciprocal action. That said, this show and also the Hero Ministry movement is about my effort to inspire and uplift the unhoused community, but also everyone that's interested in being uplifted and inspired. I say that because, as I've said in a number of interviews recently, the compliment that I've gotten the most in the past couple of years is that I have inspired them in some way. And so this effort, this whole Hero Ministry movement, Be Your Own Hero movement is about inspiration and inspiring people. Because, you never know who you're going to inspire. Okay, shout out to New Thought Media Network for allowing me the space and opportunity and platform to talk about my journey of becoming my own hero. And if this show feeds you in any way, please like, please comment, please share. All these things help the algorithm and spread the word. You can also make a donation. You can also check out my website and check out the Hero Store. If you miss a live episode, and the live episode is Monday through Friday at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time. If you missed a live episode, you can also rewatch the episodes. And there's plenty now. There's now 159 previous episodes that you can watch. You can set aside a day of binge watch. You can watch the previous episodes, I think, most easily on my YouTube channel. Obviously, also on the YouTube channel for the New Thought Media Network. And so if you go over to the YouTube channel, please like and subscribe over there too. It's one of the easiest ways to keep up with all the various episodes. Okay, so all that said, I am not a personal trainer, nor am I a financial advisor, so do your own due diligence. Take what I say with a grain of salt. And that's it. Let's get into it. Let's get into the Hero Ministry movement news. Let's start off with the news. Okay, so as I've said a couple times, season 3 is about doing. The theme is doing. That's my theme for season 3. In other words, I'm attempting to make this season as practical as possible in terms of the application of this financial wisdom, this knowledge of abundance that we've been accumulating. So I'm throwing out lots of ideas. I hope some of them are sticking. Those ideas that stick, write them down and make them stick for you. Like, really commit to them so that they have impact beyond the half hour that we're together on this show. Okay, that said, let's talk about the run streak for a second. Today is day 228. I've been running every day, at least a mile a day for now 228 days in a row. And today's run story, just a reminder, I do a run report every day, 7 days a week. And the run, sometimes I don't post it immediately, but I will post it, right? Like, don't worry about what time I post it. It's going to get posted. But the run report is posted on social media. So TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, my Facebook page, which is the Sekouwrites page. And just today, for the first time, I posted it in the group, the private group for the 30-day challenge. So just to provide some extra inspiration there. So 4 different places on social media where you can find the run report. It's already up, so go check it out. That said, here's my very brief summary of what I said right after I finished my run this morning. Essentially, what I said is that when you attempt to start a new habit, your mind tends to push back. And you have to be prepared for that pushback in advance. Because if you're not prepared, it'll just stop you. So I especially say that to my folks who have joined the 30-day challenge. Be prepared for the pushback. Like, the momentum, the excitement of starting this new thing will carry you a little bit, but then the pushback is coming. Your mind is going to be, because your mind is wired to keep you comfortable, not to make you happy. Your mind is wired to keep you comfortable, not to make you happy. There's been so many studies about that. I'm not even going to get into that. Just Google it. There's lots of information to back that up. So that said, when you start to break out of your comfort zone, your mind will push back at some point. And so that's what happened this morning in a very funny way. I won't give it away. Go check out the run report, but it was pretty funny to me. It almost got me. Anyway, go check that out. Okay, so speaking of the 30-day challenge, let's do the list of names of the folks who are in on the 30-day challenge. Again, the call to action is to do something every day, at least once a day for 30 days in a row. And the emphasis is on the 30. The emphasis is on the consecutiveness. That's not even a word, but I'm making it a word, on the consecutiveness of sticking with it. Right? Because I don't want to go too far off on a tangent, but basically, when you think about it that way, how many times you do something per day is less important than getting to the finish line of doing it every day. Because you want to get past that initial spark of, I'm going to do it. Because you have that in the beginning. Like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it this time. But at some point, your mind is going to push back and you've got to be ready. So don't worry about how much you do. Somebody was kind of upset because they didn't do as much as they thought they were going to do in a day. Listen, if you did it, that's a check mark. That's another day towards your 30 days. So stick with it. Anyway, let me read the names. So obviously I am doing a run streak. Rev Mel is doing transcendental meditation. And she's also doing the envelope challenge with me. Sidebar, if any of you are doing the envelope challenge, it occurred to me today that you don't have to cut up your own pieces of paper. I pull a piece of paper out every morning so I can just tell you what the number is and you can rock like that. So today's number is $4. Today's number is $4 for those of you participating in the envelope challenge. Take $4, transfer it from your checking over to your savings into a separate bucket that will be used for investing later on. Okay, so me, Rev Mel, Andrea is doing a spin class streak. Cooter's wife is a profile name from TikTok. She said that she's going to be running every day. Carolyn is going to be walking every day, doing a walk streak. Gladys is doing an indoor biking streak. Lily is doing a push-up streak. Mom is exercising twice a day. Lovejoy is walking. John is walking. We've got a few people doing walking streaks. Tim is writing every day with his left hand. Margaretta jumped in, doesn't know what she's going to be doing yet, so let us know, Margaretta. And I got someone else from TikTok that said he's going to be training, but I'm not sure if he's joining the streak or if I just inspired him to go to a training session. I know I inspired him to go to a training session from what he said, but I don't know if he's joining the streak or not. So we'll find out. So that's 13 folks so far. If you're interested, and if I didn't read your name, let me know. I'll add you to the list. Again, this is a private Facebook group, so you have to ask for permission, and I'll let you in. And for those of you who are already in the group, post a lot, because you never know who else you might be inspiring. There are other people already in that group who might not be aware of this 30-day challenge, who might be inspired to become a part of it because of our posting. You just never know. I've told so many stories about this now, but it never ceases to amaze me how often I run into people who have not said anything on social media, but when I see them in person, they'll comment about how something I've done has inspired them to make an actual change in their lives. And I'll just tell one quick story about that. A woman in New York told me that she had lost 11 pounds. And I was like, oh, that's great. And I guess the way I said it was too casual. And she was like, no, you helped me lose 11 pounds. And I was like, what did I do? And she said that because she saw me showing up for myself so consistently on social media, she committed to herself. She was like, I can show up for myself. If Sekou can show up for himself that way every day, then I can show up for myself. And because of that, she was able to lose 11 pounds. So again, you never know where the ripple effects are going. So please, the people who are in the 30-day challenge group, don't be shy about posting in the group, regardless of what I post or whether or not I post in the group. You never know who you're inspiring. Okay, so that is the 30-day challenge group. Appreciate you guys. Let's go. Let's end the week strong. It's Friday, so let's end the week strong. Okay, so shout out to the heroes in the chat. Got some comments over here. Shout out to Nan. Shout out to Linda in Colorado, right, Linda? Shout out to Gladys. Free-flow Friday. Yes, Dan. Appreciate that. And it's a blessing. It's a blessing because it makes me feel like I can, take some liberties on Friday and say a couple different things. Okay. So that said, where are we? I need to announce a couple things. Yeah, I need to announce a couple things. And let's do that first. So I mentioned that I did an interview with Harriet Cole recently. I was her first guest on Dream Leapers, and that's her platform to help people access and then activate their dreams. And I was the first guest of 2022. It aired at the same time as this show, and so I lost track of it, but we're going to re-air it at night in February, and we're going to do a fireside chat afterwards, meaning we'll be available for questions and talk back, etc. So it's like a double show, so I'm excited about that. Also, this weekend is finally here. I am going to be on the Let's Talk podcast with Regina Smithwick. There she is right there with her crew. We did a quick sound check last night, and there was a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. We had a great time talking about this podcast, the Get Rich 101 podcast. Again, if you haven't heard me talk about the Get Rich 101 podcast, it is essentially me reading the book, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, which was written in 1910. And it's really impactful in terms of shifting your mindset about wealth and abundance. That's not why I picked up the book. I picked up the book because it said The Science of Getting Rich. And I was like, let's get this money. But it ended from the very first sentence. I was like, oh, okay, wait a minute now. This is a different kind of book. So if you haven't read it yet, read it. If you don't want to read it, listen to my podcast. The podcast is free. It's available on all the podcasting platforms. It's not streaming in 38 different countries for no reason. It's because the book is very impactful. And Regina and her crew mentioned last night that it's helpful that I respond to the chapters in real time. So I read the chapter and then I give my kind of knee-jerk reaction to it. So that tends to bring it modern because, again, it was written a long time ago. So my comments help to bring it modern. So go check that out. Also, check out the podcast. So we're going to be live on Sunday, January 16th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And if you miss it, I will obviously post a link to the show later. Okay. So those announcements, I just wanted to get out the way. And I think now it's time to do a Hero Hoodie story. Well, a continuation of an ongoing story. So you've heard me talk about Mr. Charles, I'm sure, because I've talked a lot about him. He called out to me because he slipped on the snow and ice, and I was out jogging, and I ended up helping him, and I got the fire department involved. And it was a whole thing. And I have been trying to figure out how to help. And so I would like a little feedback from you, the viewing audience, because these are the two things I'm thinking about. Either A, doing another charity run, meaning set up another campaign on Pledge It, which was the same platform I used last time, and let people donate via credit card, make your donation, and then at some point that closes out, and I give the money to Mr. Charles. Or B, this is a new idea, having you send cards, like actual cards with whatever cash money you can spare in the card, or if you can't spare any cash money, just the card to me, and then I bring all that over to him. So at the bare minimum, he gets a bunch of cards that are, get well soon cards. But also there's a potential for there to be physical money in there that could help at least buy some meals, if not do something more, depending upon how much money is raised. So I have a few reasons for exploring more options, but I don't want to get into all that. You let me know which one of those things resonates more with you, and then I'll pull the trigger next week and we'll get something going. I definitely want to be of service to Mr. Charles in whatever way I can. And so those are the two options that I'm considering. So let me know what you think. Okay, so that said, it's time to talk about the morning zen. So today's morning zen, as it's been for all of season 3, is from 30-Day Mental Diet. I am taking Rev Mel's 30-Day Mental Diet class. It is not my first time, but it feels like the first time. Every time I take the class, it feels like the first time. The class is now closed, but the book is available on Amazon. Someone said that it's available as a PDF for free on the web somewhere. I haven't looked for it, but I heard that it's available that way. I know that it's available on Amazon. I bought it on Amazon via Kindle, so it shows up right on my phone. So anyway, today's reading is from the 30-Day Mental Diet. And I personally, we're not all on the same days, but I'm personally on day 9. So here's the reading. It does no good to complain about any lack. That only increases it. Now I could really just stop right there. That right there is impactful enough. I'm going to read the whole passage, but that sentence right there is strong. So, it does no good to complain about any lack because that only increases it. The only way you can correct the situation is to do something about it. And the something you must do starts right where you are and with what you are thinking. That's it. The thing you must do starts where you are with what you are thinking. And this really reminds me of what I've been calling the so what muscle. When I talk about running every day, no matter how I feel, no matter what the weather is, no matter what the circumstances are, I say that I am building my so what muscle, the muscle of pushing past whatever might be going on. Like even today, I had to sit down for a while outside and gather myself, not because I didn't feel like running today. I was pretty clear that I was in forward momentum, but I just had to let my body settle. But I didn't go back inside. You know what I mean? Like, so anyway, the point is the so what muscle is a muscle that I think, at least for me, has been atrophied most of my life. And now I'm actively building it. And this passage reminds me of that because it's another aspect of it. Like, it does no good to complain about any lack. That only increases it. But how often do we complain? How often do we complain? We complain so much about so many things. And at best, it makes the situation last longer. You know what I mean? Like, there's no good thing that comes from complaining. But when you're complaining about the thing that's going on, like you're leaning more into the pain of it. And by the way, sidebar slightly, I've discovered that for me, and perhaps for you too, the way the universe tries to communicate with you is through these inconveniences. It's these inconveniences where the universe is trying to talk to you. So if you spend too much time being upset about the inconvenience, you miss the message. Like, there's no way you're going to get the message unless you take a breath and open yourself up to what the message might be. Okay, I'm going to take this side. It's Free Flow Friday. I'm going to take this sidebar. I'm going to take this detour. So here's a personal story of mine. So someone tried to charge something on my credit card recently. I don't know how, but my bank called me immediately. It was a big ticket item too. It was a huge charge. My bank was like, Sekou doesn't really do that. So they called me immediately. Like, did you try to make this charge? I was like, no. And so they caught it. And they're like, all right, so we're going to cancel that card. We're going to negate the expense. We're going to send you a new card. All the things. So I'm grateful for that. Thing is, they sent the new card to my New York address. And so I didn't think about that initially, so I was sitting around waiting, and it never showed up. So I use my phone mostly to swipe payments. That's ever since the pandemic. I mostly swipe my phone if it's available, right? So that means my phone is connected to my debit card. So I haven't been able to do that because when I swipe my phone, it says, invalid card because it's connected to the previous card. And I'm still waiting for the new card. So this has been challenging for me. But I caught myself complaining and I shifted myself into, why is this happening for me? Why is this happening for me? Why is this happening for me? So what I did was I thought about one of the things I've said on this show. And there was a man, I can't remember his name, but he was a con artist, and they made a movie about him called Catch Me If You Can. And he is now a motivational speaker, which that's an interesting shift. But he's now a motivational speaker. He talks about not using debit cards, which was what was compromised in my case. Don't use debit cards, use credit cards. Use other people's money and then pay it off every month and build your credit rating, but don't use your money. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe why this is happening for me is this is an opportunity to try that. So let me tell you, it did not work out so well. It has not worked out so well. So I've been using one of my credit cards the way I would typically use my debit card. And it has been terrifying. It's been terrifying because with the debit card, the money's gone. It's it. The transaction is over. But with a credit card, you have the transaction twice. Like you swipe the card, right? It goes through. But now the second transaction is you have to pay the bill. And so what I was doing in the beginning was I was doing it at the same time. Like I swiped the card, and then later that night or later in the day, I would pay the same amount. So if I paid $15 for something, later that day, I would just transfer $15 over. Well, that got to be a little time consuming. So I stopped doing that and I started spreading it out. Anyway, this is the point. The point is that by opening myself up to why is this happening for me, it invited me to try something that I've recommended on the show. And now I have actual experience with which I can talk about it. And so what I'll say about that process is you have to have a plan, number one. You got to have a concrete plan, like either at the end of every day, I'm going to look at what I spent for the day and pay it that day, or I'm going to pay it at the end of the week. You can't let it go to the end of the month because the bill will be too big. So you have to have a plan. But number two, it put me in much greater touch with how much I spend. Because when I looked at my credit card bill, I was so shocked. I was like, how did I amass such a bill so quickly? And I looked, and there's nothing. There's nothing on there. There's no big ticket items. It's just like food, tea, just regular stuff. And so that put me in touch with how much money I spend frivolously. And that really hit me. And so now that my debit card has arrived and I have access to it, I've been much more cognizant of how I spend money. And so that was a great lesson for me. So it started with a very significant inconvenience, but the lesson has taught me well. And again, if I had stayed in complaint, if I had stayed in the space of, I can't believe this is happening and why they sent it to the wrong, all that stuff, then I would have missed the message. I would have been distracted by the mess and I would have missed the message. Oh, my alarm's going off, so I got to wrap this story up and keep it going. So I invite you to follow the idea of 30-day mental diet. It does no good to complain about any lack, and that complaining only increases the lack. Don't complain, practice not complaining, and as you practice not complaining, practice being open to what the lesson might be. Why is this happening for me? Why is this happening for me? Why is this happening for me? And the beautiful thing is you can create your own answer. There's no wrong answer. Like once you ask yourself, why is this happening for me? Whatever positive answer you come up with is the answer. Like there's no right or wrong, but the practice of looking for a positive reason why something negative happened can only serve you well. Okay, so I basically just talked about that for the whole show. So I'm gonna, since this is Friday, I will recap some of the things that we've been talking about. We've been talking about exploding the myth, exploding the excuse of I don't have enough money to invest. And I've talked about a number of things. Most recently, I talked about Webull. Somebody hit me up and said she couldn't find the link for Webull. So I put it on my Facebook page, which is sekouwrites page. I also put it within the 30-day challenge Facebook group. If you can't find it, just let me know, DM me, and I'll send it to you. But again, I use this link myself to get free stock, and I was a little bit suspicious of it, but it's legit. I've got a stock portfolio now on Webull, and I didn't buy any stock. It's all the stock that they gave me. And the beautiful thing about that, really quickly, is I've been thinking about trading stock for months, but I kept putting it off, saying, no, I don't want to do that. That's too much. And also, I didn't want to trade any of the stock that I've already accumulated, right? So the beauty of Webull for me is I got free stock that I can trade. I've already made 2 trades now, and I'm excited about my ability to do that. That I was able to trade on someone else's dime, right? So in my mind, I did a 25-cent trade and a 50-cent trade, although it ended up being more money because they gave me the stock. It was a $4 stock and a $10 stock. So I know that was kind of confusing, but basically they gave me stock and I'm trading the stock that they gave me, which gives me a playground to play with in terms of trading stock that I didn't have to spend any money for. So check out Webull. The link is in those places that I just mentioned. If you can't find it, hit me up. Also, promise to pay yourself 10% off the top every time some money comes in, not just wages. Anytime some money comes in, somebody gives you $20, hands you $20, get change and set aside 10% for your investing. You have to be active about it. Create buckets. We talked about that. Create different buckets where you can stash that money in a savings account or a brokerage account. Remember, you do not need to fund a brokerage account with any amount of money. You can open a brokerage account for free. So if you haven't done that yet, do it. That is another bucket where you can send money. We also talked about the envelope challenge, which I talked about earlier in the show. And we also talked about carrying cash instead of using your debit card. So taking cash out of your account, walking with it, and using that money to spend. And when that money's gone, that's the end of your spending. So there are ways to create amounts of money that you can use to invest. There are ways to do that. So focus on those ideas that resonated with you and be consistent and diligent about it. And you will be surprised at how much money you are able to set aside to invest. Okay. So I'm going to stop there. Maybe we'll continue with that same excuse of I don't have enough money to invest next week. Or maybe we'll start talking about where to put the money that you've saved up. All right. So all that said, stay tuned for prayer time right now at 10:15. And then catch Rev Mel at 10:30 for Sit with Rev Melissa. I'll be producing that show and I might pop in and say hi. So in the meantime, keep doing. Be a hero. Be your own hero. Don't be a sheep. I'll read your comments later. I see a few comments. Don't be a sheep. And remember that now is better than perfect. Later.